A few days back, I was hiking in this area and I accidentally spooked a mountain lion off of an elk kill that it was feeding off of. It was amazing. I mean, you don't get to see a lot of mountain lions, even if you live in areas where mountain lions are doing fairly well. Got a good look at it. It's only the second one I've ever seen. Beautiful animals, very important animals. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to do a little bit more wildlife myth busting, debunk some of the wild shit that people say about wildlife, especially about predators in this area. So here we go again. One of the main reasons that you hear over and over when people are trying to justify predator hunting is the impact that those predators have on their prey species. Just like I talked about last time with wolves and elk, a lot of people also exaggerate the impact that cougars have on deer populations, elk populations, and other prey species. And just to be clear what we're talking about, cougars go by many different names. Mountain lions, pumas, panthers, and cougars are all different names for the exact same species of animal. It's a very wide-ranging cat here in the Western Hemisphere. It ranges from Canada all the way down to quite far south into South America. And because it has such a huge range, it's been given a lot of different names. But it all refers to one species, Puma concolor. I refer to them as cougars. That's what we'll call them during this video. Gives people the opportunity to make stupid jokes in the comments, and I'm all for that. We're gonna use the Joe Rogan podcast again as our source material for some of this crazy misinformation that people say, this time about cougars. So listen to what Joe Rogan and another one of his hunting buddies, a guy named Greentree, listen to what they say about how often cougars kill deer.
You know, I don't know what the numbers are, but there's probably supposed to be like one mountain lion for every 500 deer or something like that.
Well, they eat one a day.
Yeah, that's right. And they're a sneaky creature.
So, Joe Rogan just said that cougars eat one deer every fucking day. And the guy Greentree agreed with him. And I thought, maybe they misspoke. But then a couple seconds later, they said it again.
Like, I've actually never seen a cat in the wild except for the one that I hunted. And that's like that story I was telling you before, like it was eating a calf, but they typically kill a deer every single day.
Yeah.
You know, so
it's a lot of fucking deer.
So, Joe Rogan and Greentree are claiming that a cougar eats a deer every single day. So before we even look anything up, let's just think about that for a second. Even if you've never seen a cougar in your life, picture in your head about how big one is. Now picture about how big a deer is, and then compare the two. They're about the same size, right? Yeah, they're about the same size. Cougars have a bit of a range, but male cougars here around Yellowstone weigh between about 145 pounds and about 170 pounds. Female cougars weigh between about 85 pounds and 120 pounds. White-tailed deer weigh between about 150 and 250 pounds. And mule deer weigh between about 100 pounds and 250 pounds. So yes, cougars and deer are about the same size. And pardon my sniffling, I know it sounds a little gross, but it is windy as a bitch out here, and it's a lot colder than I thought it was gonna be, so my nose is running a little bit. The claim that a cougar eats a deer every single day would seem to give a little bit more weight to the argument that you need to control cougar populations. If they're out here munching down a deer a day, then yeah, cougars are gonna have a pretty detrimental impact on the deer population. But luckily for us, we can look up the facts and we can quickly realize that cougars do not eat a deer every day. That is an absolutely ridiculous claim. It's not even a good guess. If you were just guessing, it's not even a fucking reasonable guess. The idea that a cougar needs to eat its body weight every single day is just absurd. And again, the problem is that they're saying it quite confidently to an audience of potentially millions of people. So here in Yellowstone, a great resource on wildlife and other issues in and around the park is what's called the Yellowstone Resources and Issues Handbook. It is an annual publication that the Park Service puts out with tons of great information about the park and the wildlife here. And one of the things they address in the cougar section of that book is the predation rate. How often do they actually kill and eat a deer or an elk? And it's not once per day. It's once every 9.4 days. So that is a vast difference between what Joe Rogan and Adam Greentree were saying. By their claim, cougars kill and eat 365 deer per year. By the actual numbers here in Yellowstone, it's about 39 per year. So they were off, not by just a little bit, but by 326. That's pretty fucking wrong. We'll look at a couple other cougar populations outside of Yellowstone though, just to compare. So one of the great resources that I use for looking up scientific information is just Google Scholar. You can go online and for free, you can look up scientific articles from scientific journals. It's a great way to get more accurate information without having to rely on the news media to kind of filter through it and sometimes misrepresent what these studies say. So if you go to Google Scholar, whether you're looking at information on cougars or bears or humans, you just kind of got to know what to look for. And so for this question, what we're looking at is the kill rate or the predation rate of cougars. The second study that I looked up is from the Journal of Wildlife Management. The title of the study is Cougar Kill Rates and Prey Selection in a Multi-Prey System in Northeast Oregon. And what they found was fairly similar to what the research showed here in Yellowstone. From their study, they found that cougars kill about 1.03 ungulates per week. That rate is slightly higher in the summer, and it's also slightly higher for mother cougars that have their kittens with them. Mothers with kittens kill about 1.5 ungulates per week. But again, that's being shared between multiple cats. And when we talk about ungulate is a term that just kind of generally refers to hoofed mammals. So things like deer, things like elk. And just to be fair and to be thorough, I looked up a third study as well. It's also from the Journal of Wildlife Management. This one's called Cougar Kill Rate and Prey Composition in a Multi-Prey System. And this is from Alberta in Western Canada. The results are fairly similar, but this one gives even a little bit more detail than the other two studies. This study is the most detailed, gives the most information about different cougars of different sexes and even different age ranges as far as how often they eat, what their kill rate is, what their predation rate is. So for subadult females in this study, they kill about 24 ungulates per year. That comes down to killing and eating one about every 15 days. For subadult males, they kill about 31 ungulates per year, which comes down to about one every 12 days. For adult males, it is 35 ungulates killed per year, which is about one every 10 days. For adult females, it's 42 per year, which is about one every 8.5 days. Females with kittens have the highest kill rates, the highest predation rates. And again, that makes sense because they're feeding multiple cats. They could have averages between 1 and 4 kittens. They can't have more than that. So for these numbers, you could be dealing with 2 cats or maybe even 5 or 6 different cats all sharing the kill. So for females with kittens less than 6 months of age, they kill about 47 ungulates per year in this study in Alberta, which comes down to about 1 every 7.7 days. And the highest kill rate that I was able to find in any of the studies that I looked up was in Alberta. This same study, it was females with kittens that are older than 6 months. So those are fairly big cats. Those are, you know, subadults, adolescents. They have big appetites. Those cats killed 67 ungulates per year, which comes down to about 1 every 5.5 days. That's the highest rate that I was able to find in any of these studies. And that still is way lower than what Joe Rogan and Adam Greentree said. And if your justification for hunting cougars is that you're somehow saving or conserving deer or elk, just like with the wolves and the elk, that is a bunch of horse shit. They are not wiping them out. They're not having a detrimental impact on their populations. Predators are the driving force behind natural selection. Their job is to get rid of the sick and the disease and the dying and the defective and the dumb, leaving behind the big, fat, strong, healthy prey animals to reproduce and make big, fat, strong, healthy babies. That's how nature works. That's how natural selection works. That's how evolution works. It's a wonderful, beautiful thing. The take-home point in all this is essentially the same as the other video I made about the wolves and the elk. Just don't listen to people that don't know what they're talking about. You have access to the entirety of human knowledge. The internet can be a really useful thing, despite what we sometimes use it for. So use Google Scholar, look up these studies, get actual information, get facts, get good research, make your decisions based off of the best available information, not off of the crazy claims that people might be making on podcasts or other places online.